for a quick Devar Torah. Among the things that are covered in this week's Parsha are the laws of the king. The Torah presents that at a certain point, the Jewish people are going to ask for a king. They're going to say, let us have a king like all the other nations around us. And the Torah permits it under certain conditions. And very interesting conditions. Number one, he has to be among your brethren. He has to be chosen from among your brethren. He can't be a foreigner. And by the way, it says brothers, among your brothers, meaning he's basically equal with the other Jews as far as halacha is concerned. He's not above. He's not he does not come from a great family, whatever. He's equal to you in all matters of halacha. Second, he can't have too many horses. He can't have too many wives. And he can't acquire too much gold and silver. So the question comes up, those seem to be very strange laws. And the final, by the way, is that he has to write a Sefer Torah that has to be with him almost all the time, except when he's sleeping or indisposed in a place that you can't take a Sefer Torah. So the question comes up, what's this about the horses, wives, and gold? The answer, when you stop and you think about it, you're dealing in a time period that the tank of the ancient world, the big thing in wars was the chariot pulled by horses. The Torah is limiting the army. The king cannot have a standing army, so to speak, which it's making a point. He has to rely on that when you go to war, he has to sell it to the people. He has to convince the people we have a good reason for doing this. He can't just go out and make a war. And he also cannot use the army against the people. We realize that it was very common, even till the 20th century, that somebody in power uses the army to control their population so they can have more and more power. What's this about too many wives? Remember, in the ancient world, the way you sealed a treaty was one king would send his daughter to be the wife of the other king making the deal, or the prince. That's how they made deals. So there's limiting his power to conduct foreign affairs. He has to, again, go according to things. Plus, there's a danger. These are foreign women coming into the palace. They will turn the king against Torah because they're coming from idolatrous society. We want to make sure the king stays true to the Torah. And acquiring gold and silver, that one's easy. How does the king, when you become king, how do you get money? Taxes. You cannot overtax the people. You have to be aware that people have to live. And one of the big saddest points in Jewish history, after Shlomo died and his son became king, and the people from the northern tribes, the princes came and said, listen, the taxes were so onerous. Yes, we needed to have a lot of taxes to build the Beit HaMikdash, to build all these things that we needed, but can you let up on the taxes? And his reply was, if you thought my father's taxes were rough, wait till you see what I have in store for you. And that's what caused the civil war among the Jews in 10 northern tribes. In other words, and plus, like I said, how does a king acquire money? Through taxes, through bribery, through, you ask your question when somebody enters politics and they're middle class and suddenly after a few years they're multimillionaires, where did the money come from? Had to come from somewhere. So we're also trying to make sure the king stays honest. It's not that we're against a rich man becoming king. He cannot become rich as king. And has to have the Torah in front of him almost all the time. because the king is also bound by halacha. He is not above the law. He is bound by the same halacha as the rest of the Jewish people are. Remember, he's from among your brothers. Okay? Doesn't say your fathers. It doesn't say your children. It says your brothers. Basically, there's a certain equality there. And that therefore the Jewish people could basically see the king as somebody they could actually talk to, something that was unheard of in the ancient world. If you tried to complain to the king in the ancient world and you came up to him and complained, it would be a very short conversation. If you complained to a Jewish king, as many of the Nevi'im did, many of the prophets did, the king realized he had no power to do anything to them. They could admonish him, something that was unheard of in the ancient world. The Torah is setting these things out to make sure that we don't have a nation like other nations, that our king will not be like the other kings. Something to think about.